Well, hello from the nice, quiet, peaceful bus. It's not as warm out here, but it is much quieter, much better for working. I've been thinking about chronic post traumatic stress disorder, or is it complex? Pardon me. CPTSD, complex post traumatic stress disorder, um, which is to say, it's recognition of the condition that a person acquires um, after an unknown threshold of events, of traumatic events, has been reached in their experience in their life. It is especially poignant and relevant if they're young when it happens. But you can develop CPTSD at an abusive job situation, for example, or in an abusive home situation, like even with bad neighbors. It comes down to how much trauma it causes you and how frequently. And trauma is hard to measure because for some, trauma can be as simple as having a fly infestation arrive in the house. And for others, it can be something as complicated as a home invasion from humans rather than flies. And the brain doesn't play these games of evaluation. The brain just damn gets injured. I mean, if your emotional reaction to something is too powerful, it happens too frequently, and there's insufficient supportive, loving care afterwards and comfort, then your brain will be injured. CPTSD. Now, for classic psychotherapy, there's the whole let's take you back to the time of the trauma and work you through it again and give you power over it. And we'll reimagine the situation for you and give you power. And I have frankly been doing that for 25 years and inadvertently re-injuring myself because with CPTSD, there's too much. There's just too much too often. It's never over. But you can traumatize your brain in your imagination and in your memory almost as much, if not as much, as the original event did. Sometimes maybe more. It's just dependent on so many factors. And so to be able to say, oh, well, I'll revisit that memory and I'll put it in its place and I'll express it and feel it and it will go away. Well, there are 365 days in the year. And if you were treated horribly every single day for 6 years, how do you work through that? Now, for some people, the CPTSD or the thing that caused the traumatizing in the first place, in my case, the autism and being transgender, continue to provoke the same trauma as they go through life in later years. And I am one of those people who have continued to provoke abuse from others. My constant attempts to socialize, to make connections, to make community, to get to know people and show them who I am, have resulted in repeated abusive relationships. Of late, I have just cut them all off. I've just quit. It's reached a point now where I actually don't feel comfortable thinking about trying to have a conversation. And that's a thing I'm going to have to work through, but I don't think it's the time to work through it. I'm like, no, I need to see where this journey takes me. I need to do this. Plus, I need to change my environment first. I need to, find new community because the community that I've been finding in this city has failed me. Or I'll get back out there and the community has changed. I don't know. I'm not going to write this story. I'm going to read it, as it were. But I wanted to talk about how for CPTSD, how do you heal such a situation? How do you heal someone like that? And I think it's not so much that you heal them as that you train them, us. It's training, not healing. Teaching recognition of an anxiety state and mechanisms to counteract the anxiety state. Biofeedback relaxation methods specifically are probably the most valuable ways to help the person with CPTSD to recognize when their limbic system is starting to get into a state of harmful stress, and learning the keys, the deep breathing, the concentration, the mindfulness, the being here, the steps and methods of regrounding and recentering and becoming back here again and putting that away. Because these skeletons are going to rattle in the closet forever. And we can learn to hang a rug over that closet to help soundproof it. But every now and then when we walk past the closet, we're going to hear the rattling, metaphorically speaking. And it's never, ever going to be gone. And it's never going to stop happening for some folks. And so learning to deal with it with greater calmness, self-assurance. And that's part 2 with CPTSD, is you have to come to a point in your own self-awareness where you may not know who you are in the face of others, but you know who you are. I know who I am, and I respect and admire the person that I am, and I understand why I am who I am, and I know what my faults are, and I know how to work around them. I would totally roommate with myself. I'm absolutely sure of it. I would cooperate well. I think I would make for a good team. I think a lot of good things about myself. And I don't mean it in a I'm better than you sense. I mean it in a, no, I've done a lot of evaluating over the years. I've done a lot of deep searching and crying. And I've done well, and I'm proud of myself. That kind of a way. And that also is something that helps you cope. Having a strong self-core, a strong sense of who you are and what you don't deserve and what you do deserve. It doesn't help the outrage when you are denied and when you are disrespected. That doesn't suddenly, people don't suddenly start respecting you because you respect yourself. That's a lie. Honest to freaking God, it's a lie. They will test you at every step of the way because they're not here to live. They're here to power trip. There's so much going on there that I have still not figured out. I don't understand how to satisfy their needs without them abusing people. And that's ultimately what we have to do with everybody. Everybody's needs need to be satisfied, whether you recognize it as a need or not. We might not think that the jollies that a narcissist gets from playing with our heads are a need, but if it wasn't a need, they would stop. They are capable of understanding, intellectually at the very least, that there are other ways of being. But this one, they do it because there's something that it provides them that they need. And what they don't know is another way to get what they need, because they don't understand what their need is. We don't understand what their need is. And so we don't know how to give it to them. Then, too, if the need is for attention, is there any commodity more precious, prized, and jealously held to itself than attention? I really don't think so. The more you want it, the less you're allowed to have. Unless, well, yeah, and when you see people who are getting a lot, there's all this resentment. And then there are people who are terrified of getting attention because with it comes all that resentment. And I don't understand that either. I understand not having attention for someone right now. What I don't understand is resenting someone who's managed to get attention from other people. Jealousy, I understand. I'm jealous of some YouTubers myself. But I don't resent them. It's not their fault I'm not there. They didn't take my spot. I didn't have a spot. I never earned one. I never got there. It didn't happen. Um, I can sit down and list all the reasons. It's quite irrelevant. Uh, I'm not going anyway. Still doing my thing. This is my favorite thing, is to teach as best I can. But for CPTSD, I think some means of helping them cope. Oh yeah, how do you like my t-shirt? I got it in 2017, just before Canada legalized herbal medicine of the strong variety. And I think that is stuff like that can be a very good tool, because it is much lighter, much lighter than the anxiety drugs that the pharmaceuticals want you to take. But you know what? You do you, boo. Just don't trust your doctor so much, please, because really, you'll notice after you're taking the prescription reliably and only need your 6-month checkup that there's literally nothing else they're going to do for you. And what's more is, in a couple of years, those skeletons in the closet, you'll hear them again, as you keep opening the closet to look anyway. Nobody's taught you how to close that door. Nobody's taught you how to live with it. Nobody's taught you how to choose physically yourself to be in the state you want to be in. And the literal controls, if you will, on your body that help you do that. I didn't know I had control over my body. I didn't know my body had basic programming inputs like deep breathing, exhaling slightly longer on the out, slightly longer than you inhale, breathing out slightly longer than you breathe in, for example, and making it slow is like sticking your hands on the keyboard and hitting Control-Alt-Delete. I kid you not. And while you're doing that, you can be counting the time. I like to think about my facial muscles and relaxing them, because that's the next step. Sometimes I'll even force my face into a smile, because that's another one of the external user interface devices that you have at your disposal for affecting your state of mind, is your facial expression. I kid you not. Has a direct feedback loop with your limbic system. So between your breathing and your facial expression, and the speed of your speaking, and the tone of your voice, these are tools, your mouse, your keyboard, what have you. These are tools, these are interface tools that help you bring your body back down, as well as often telling others what state and condition you're in. The thing is, you need to recognize first off that you're doing it. And self-awareness and CPTSD, they're not happy bedfellows. CPTSD can create some really rude behavior. And it's very hard to look at yourself properly when you have to look through that too, through the unkind things you've said and done, the times when your anger or your ignorance caused you to do something that you're ashamed of. Anger is when it's deliberate. Ignorance is when you find out later what you did. And both of them can give you a lot of stress. And that stress can really get in the way of taking a good look at yourself and coming back around to that other part of knowing yourself, knowing who you really are. And furthermore, putting the boots to yourself when you're betraying yourself. If you perceive yourself as an honest person, then that means that if you catch yourself being dishonest, you have to feel that shame. You have to feel it. You have to talk to yourself about it in some fashion, internally, externally, on a YouTube camera, whatever the heck you do, to work through things. Write it down in a diary is a really popular one. You have to accept that you did whatever it was and that you didn't appreciate that you did it, because that's how you then see why you did it and come up with a strategy to interrupt yourself next time. Get it? I saw a dog. I went straight to the dog. I petted the dog. I completely ignored the human on the other end of the leash, who then huffed and took the dog away from me. I really wanted to pet the dog more, and now I never get to pet the dog because the human takes the dog across the street when I show up. Next time, I will remember to look up at the human, go, "Hi, you have a lovely dog. May I pet it?" And then you'll get to pet the dog as much as you want. You will have to tolerate the social nattering that goes with it. But this is, unfortunately, the price one pays for being in the human world. Lots and lots of nattering. Stuff that you can probably guess the beginning and end of, although some of the middle might be surprising. But for the most part, it's not going to be surprising. It's going to be basic observations about current weather conditions and local news that you've already read on Facebook. Or a whole lot of, who do you know that I know? There's a lot of that goes on. Let's figure out our degrees of separation. That actually can be fun. Weather, not so much. Unfortunately, I'm a deep talker, a deep thinker, if you will. You want to get me engaged, man? We start talking about existentialism, and we're off. And you can shout over top of me. That's fine, no problem. You can shout Nietzsche over top of me, and we can have a very lively discussion. And I will not take offense, no matter how much you yell at me. Because, as long as you don't take offense at me yelling back. I'm not sure if those things do get loud, because I get so engaged that I'm not aware of what my vocal tone is. And that's the thing with the autism, you see. The more engaged you become in a subject, the more animated you get. The more animated you get, the more shrill your voice gets. The more shrill your voice gets, the more unpleasant you are for the people around you. It's one of the reasons why I have been abused as much as I have, causing me to become chronically stressed. Anyway, I have said my said. Meditation, relaxation therapy, and brutal self-honesty. These are the things I think it takes to come out from under CPTSD. And you do not come out from under it. You learn to live beside it. Well, yeah, you do come out from under it, but I mean, you don't get rid of it. You just come out from under it. And now you live beside it. But it's going to be bumping into you constantly. This is life. Nobody comes out unscathed. None of us. You can lose parts of your body, parts of your mind, parts of your heart, parts of your idealism, parts of your hope, parts of your dreams. Nobody comes out unscathed. And it's just that some of us hide it better, or you don't know them well enough. Maybe you just don't know them well enough. All right, let me go turn this off. Thanks for watching.